Hey, good evening, everybody. I am Chuck Rogers, licensed professional counselor and licensed marriage and family therapist.
And I'm Keith Dunn, and I am a network engineer.
And together we're Tabletop Coffee.
Yeah, where we are bold and never, ever bitter.
And tonight we are going to, what are you going to call this? The Xray technique.
Yeah.
We're going to encourage you and your partner to say, do we do that? Stay tuned. We'll talk about it.
Oh, well, anyway, so we're talking about the X-ray effect tonight. And when we started talking about this, it really hit I wouldn't say a nerve with me, but it was something that I could relate to. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'm reading a book now called It Takes One to Tango.
Yeah.
And at this particular juncture of the book, things are actually working in a way that both people are working on the relationship. And the author, I'll put a link down below, it's a great book, but she's talking about how it is that she and her husband went to dinner with this couple.
Okay.
They come home, and apparently this couple had kind of been bantering, tit for tat, banter for banter kind of stuff.
Right.
And her husband, Patrick, looks at her and says, "Am I as pig-headed as Kate is?" And she paused, and Patrick says to her, "Well, I can tell by your hesitancy that apparently I am." And she said, "Well, I don't think you or Kate, either one of you, come up light in the stubbornness bucket."
Right.
And so then they had a nice discussion about it. And she says, "Our friends, Kate and Max, with whom we had spent the evening, had been going on about whether a few was more than, less than, or equal to several, an issue that I had, oddly enough, just been thoroughly debated by a couple in my office. Though Max was trying to make their banter seem playful, I could tell that both he and Kate were getting quite tense, as Kate grew increasingly forceful in her assertion that she was right, when in fact she was not." So they came home and they had this conversation about, do we do that?
Right.
And I think both of them went on to acknowledge that, yeah, we do that. So I began to think about that. How wonderful of a technique would it be if we talked about couples that we see and know of, and then we look at their behaviors and go, what about that couple do I not like?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
then be able to have a conversation about it, and then ask yourself the question, do I do that? Do we do that as well?
Well, I was thinking about the video that we did a few weeks ago, Talking in Bubbles. And I can take that and I can relate that to this to some degree.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because, I have looked at other couples and I have seen that behavior where it is saying something indirectly, but really, your target is here.
Yeah.
You are directing this towards the other person. So in my case, a lot of times it would be towards my wife, Lisa. And again, in that video, I expressed that I'm so much better with it now. I don't do it very often now. But every once in a while, I will see myself just lobbing that grenade or shooting across the bow. But this other couple that I was watching, they were so bad at it, and the guy would actually just shoot across the bow time and time again, and I looked at that and I was like, I do that to some degree, and I was able to use that as a self-reflection or use that X-ray to look at myself and say, okay, I don't like that. I don't like seeing that in someone else. I sure don't want to have that in me.
No, when you see this person talking in bubbles, making an indirect statement rather than making a request of what you do want, you're like, I don't want that as part of my life.
No, and that goes back to the request-making video that we mention in almost every video.
Seems like it's almost everyone, lately.
Yeah, so I'll put that up here. But making that request is so important because you don't really get anywhere by throwing this indirect message out there. It just upsets the other person, and it goes in the wrong direction.
So you saw this really negative behavior in this other couple, specifically the guy, and you're like, do I do that? Yes, I do. I don't want to do that anymore.
That's right. So pull back from that and figure out the best way to do it. And in that case, it is definitely making those requests.
Yeah, I think of my grandparents used to equivocate.
Okay.
Remember one of the marriage killing series that we did?
Okay, yes.
And we talked about if you really want to kill your marriage, equivocate with the other person about things that just really don't matter.
Exactly.
And my grandparents used to do that as well. They would get in these tit for tat, banter for banter conversations about things that nobody cares about.
Right.
Well, I think we went over there about 3 o'clock. No, it wasn't done, and it was 2 o'clock.
Okay.
Or no, it wasn't. It was 3 o'clock, and they would have this banter about whether it was 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock. All the time, bringing tension for them and tension for the people who were watching, and not bringing connected intimacy, but bringing distance. And I saw that, and I thought, I really don't want that to ever be part of any of my relationships.
No.
Specifically, a
doesn't help.
nice, intimate spousal relationship as well. So,
and I think it goes back to always being loving and putting yourself in their place before you say something. And I've done a much better job of that later in my life, being able to look at Lisa and know this is going to be hurtful. There's no reason to say it that way. If I need something from her, I can make a request.
Yeah. And you always want to say, if you can, say yes as opposed to yes, but.
Oh, yeah. Yes, but does not work.
Yeah. So always try to be giving as often as you possibly can. And don't ever try to equivocate about anything, but especially things that just don't matter.
Right. But I think this is difficult for some people. I think it's difficult sometimes. You can see things in other people, but a lot of times you aren't able to see that in yourself.
I think so.
So you have to be open to that, and you have to realize, I actually do that. So maybe I need to make some changes along the way. You have to be open to making changes and see some issues in yourself.
I think you can also play the other side of this coin.
Okay.
If I can look at a couple and say, I don't want that. But
Okay.
also look at a couple and say, I do want that. Yeah. What couple do we know that really has characteristics that we want? I think I've probably said on here before that if you want what somebody has, you better go where they go, do what they do, and read what they read. So if you want to be like somebody else, start mimicking some of the things that they do that you think really are worthwhile to bring into your own relationship.
Oh, I like that. I'm so glad you put that positive spin on it, because it works both ways. You can reflect in both ways.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Hey, I hope you liked our content. If you did, please subscribe, because Keith would appreciate that.
Yes, please subscribe. Ding that bell so you're notified of upcoming episodes.
Make sure to like it.
Yep, share it with your friends.
Thanks, everyone.
Until next time. In all the dancing that I've done, which is twice, and that was with my daughters. Actually, I've started dancing with my wife more, and I apologized to Lisa not that long ago, and I said, I am so sorry that I have not danced with you more, because we weren't allowed to dance when we were young. Were you allowed to dance when you were young?
Heck no.
No, that was
Sinful behavior.
Satan's battleground. I mean, getting on the dance floor, it's like Dirty Dancing if you were just doing a waltz together.
Yeah.